Well, good morning and welcome to another episode, I suppose. I'm going to try and talk through this one, though I'm going to have to compete with the helicopters going from London through to Biggin Hill and the aircraft and the neighbours and the children and the garage next door. So hopefully you'll be able to hear some of this. If not, I'll do a voiceover and see how we go. I've come into the garden. I've only brought my day kit with me. I normally use a 30-litre canvas rucksack if I'm messing about with fire. I have a very nice day sack that somebody bought me, in fact some of my old pupils bought me, and it's beautiful and lovely, and I use that a lot, but not when I'm messing around with fire. I don't want to get holes in it. So hopefully today I want to have a look at how to use cotton wool in setting light to things. Brings out the best chemist in me. Cotton wool lights very easily with a lighter, with a match and with a ferro steel. Just remember to fluff your cotton wool up a little bit so that there's plenty of air available for it to burn. Just a quick demo: lighter, match, and the ferro steel we've already seen, but there's no reason not to do that again. A ferro rod or a ferrocerium rod, or sometimes called a Swedish fire steel, takes a little getting used to and is a very efficient way of starting a fire, but it's best to develop your technique. You need to get good big sparks, and that involves placing your rod down, putting your scraper or your knife and pushing with your thumb. You want big sparks, the bigger the better. And it's more important to press down on the ferro rod than it is to slide it along. So your thumb of my right hand, because I'm left-handed, is pressing it forward, but my left thumb is pressing it down onto the rod, so we get nice big sparks. If you're having difficulty getting a spark to ignite something, it's best to just scrape gently and get some of the material dust onto your item that you want to set light to, and then when you ignite it, they'll ignite as well, giving you a better chance of setting light. It's best with tinder to place your ferro rod onto the tinder and hold it in place. What you don't want to be doing is this sort of thing, because it will just end up missing and knocking things over. You want to hold it there, hold your material down and press forward, and cotton wool lights relatively easily compared with many materials. Ferro rods come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. The one on the left here is a Scout model. The one in the middle is sometimes known as the Army model, and that's an Army model as well. There is a difference between them. We'll talk about that in a moment. And you can also get the 6-inch long, half-inch diameter Fat Boy from various places, including the Bushcraft store. Of these three, my preference is the one in the middle, which is a Light My Fire ferro rod. The Light My Fire ferro rods tend to be quite soft. As you can see, I've worn quite a lot of that away, and they do ignite very, very easily. The one on the right is a Bushcraft store, and it's much harder material, and the technique is different. It seems to be, and I prefer the other one, to do this sort of movement with it, which works very well, but it's a bit more dangerous in terms of knocking over your material. So I personally prefer the Light My Fire ones, which are softer, and you can just do that very easily and it works. Harder ones require multiple strikes, and the soft one requires just one strike. It is a personal preference. Many people seem to use the big Fat Boy ones, which are hard, and use many strikes with it to get their fire going, and they do very well. Many people use their knife to strike their ferro rod, and the particular technique that a lot of people use is to take their knife and use just the tip of it and use it like that. That's fine. It takes a little bit of technique and you can end up cutting yourself if you're not careful. Now, a little word about UK knife law. The knife on the left is a 4¼ inch blade. It's fixed, and walking down the street with that on your hip is illegal unless you can prove to the policeman who stops you that you're carrying it for good reason. If you're a chef carrying a roll of knives, it's perfectly legal to carry your knives because it's for the purpose of your work. But if you're just any old bod carrying a knife into a supermarket, you're going to be in trouble. The knife in the middle is a folding knife. It's a bushcraft store, everyday carry. That is legal to carry at any time, an everyday carry. It has a non-fixed blade, a folding blade, non-locking, and it is less than 3 inches long. Hence, it complies with everyday carry. But still, I don't think I'd be very comfortable walking into the local supermarket carrying that, in my pocket even. Whereas on the right is a Swiss Army knife. It's a very simple knife that I carry in my pocket nearly all the time. And that's perfectly safe and legal. As you can see, the blade is nearly the same length, but a lot lighter, a lot thinner. And you wouldn't need to justify why you were carrying that. That is an everyday carry knife. When I'm out for a walk in the woods, and it's generally public land that I'm walking on, woods that are owned by the local council and so on, I tend to carry the folding knife attached to my belt in a case. If I'm going into the town, then I would put that in my rucksack out of sight. Now, there are some drawbacks with a folding knife. If I was to use it in the technique that I mentioned before, using it like that, there is a danger it could fold on me and injure my hand, which of course is dangerous. So there are certain other techniques you can use. Whenever you use the knife, you need the back of your knife to have been ground flat, file flat, to have a nice 90-degree grind on there so that this edge is able to scrape nicely. Now, if you put the knife down like that and take your ferro rod and pull it back across there, you can get good sparks. If we put a piece of cotton wool down there, put my knife across the top of it, and there it goes. Another technique with a folding knife is to leave the knife folded. This is the 90-degree bit, the last 1.5 inches has been ground to that. Place your ferro rod on there and just use that like that, and there it is. It's a bit windy today, so things tend to be blowing around. So you're just using the thumb push technique, using your folded blade like that. You can also use cotton wool to light something like a bird's nest of tinder, like a tinder bundle here. This is hay that I have in the garage. But instead of using cotton wool, what I've got in there are downy seed heads such as thistle, bulrush, rose bay willow herb, and I prepared this in the garage, and I brought it out here because I really don't want to have thistles growing all through my garden. They get away very easily. So I'm going to give this a try and just ignite that using a ferro rod, and that should give us a good flame. Takes a few attempts, and with a little bit of help that will burn very nicely, apart from giving me a face full of smoke. Here we have a piece of cotton wool and some hay, and we're just going to ignite the cotton wool and show that it will ignite the hay. As we've already seen, cotton wool burns out very rapidly, but if you add an accelerant to it, something like Vaseline, a lip balm, antibacterial hand gel or cooking oil. I prefer cooking oil because I always carry cooking oil. The others may have in my bag. I may have antibacterial hand gel in my latrine kit for obvious reasons, washing after you've been to the toilet. Lip balm can be useful. Some people carry Vaseline like lip balm, I don't. So I'm more likely to have cooking oil with me, and we'll have a look and we'll see how they burn with each one. Here's a little bit of cotton wool. Just wipe that onto the surface of there. Don't need to take very much. We'll move the others out of the way for the moment, and we'll just light that very quickly with a ferro-rod. And as you can see, the piece that has the Vaseline on continues to burn, acting like a wick in a candle for the Vaseline to burn. And it'll continue like that for several more minutes. And if you were trying to start a fire with that, I'd probably use a lot more Vaseline and a lot more cotton wool, and we'd be guaranteed a good fire. Put that out, and let's have a go at the next one. Let's try some lip balm. It's a long time since I've used this lip balm. There we go, a good dollop of that in there. Rub it in. Tease out your cotton wool so it will ignite, and then let's light it. And there it goes. I was a little more generous with the lip balm than I was with the Vaseline, and as you can see, it continues to burn quite effectively. Put that out, and we'll try a little bit of hand gel. There we are. At least when you do this, your hands are clean. And we'll ignite that. Being alcohol, the flame isn't quite so visible. And finally, we'll try some of the cooking oil. And that burns very effectively, and will continue to do so for, depending on how much cooking oil you put on and how much cotton wool, 5 to 10 minutes even. Well, I mentioned earlier that this is my day kit, so I've got a lightweight tarp up. I can always carry that with me in case it rains. And in terms of having a fire while you're out walking, you really do need the landowner's permission, and that can be very hard to obtain. What I do tend to use though is a twig stove, a small wood burning stove. This one is called the Solo stove. There are various models on the market, and so you have a small stainless steel container. It's a double container. Air goes in through the holes here, up the side, and comes out of the holes round here, and that ignites the smoke as it burns off, so you get a very efficient burn, and you can pop a little stand on the top, and that will hold your pot very nicely. And so I thought I'd show you how I would use that. Even if I know I've got permission to camp in a woodland and start a fire, during the day I'd still carry this because it's much quicker to brew up using this than it is to start a a fire on the ground and then extinguish that and make sure it's out properly. These go out very quickly, and in fact a little too quickly sometimes. They need constant attention, feeding in small twigs to keep them going, because obviously there's not a large mass of material burning in there. When you're making a fire, you really want to start with small material. So you start with your tinder, your cotton wool or whatever, and then you add small twigs, usually I would say matchstick size. There's a matchstick down here somewhere, I don't know where I put it, there we go. So we're looking at things about that sort of size, and then we go up to a pencil, I've got a pen there, and then we would go up to finger. So matchstick, pencil, finger, and then thereafter with any fire. But that's true with these ones. So I've got some bigger pieces and I've got some smaller pieces here. And normally when I'm making a fire, I sort my wood into sizes. I've got some cotton wool in my pocket. Oh, a nice big wadge. Fluff it up a bit. Some oil. Enough there to fry bacon, I think. And ferro-rod. And we'll just light that up. Am I going? No. Bring it a little nearer. That's going. And just lay in some small sticks. That will catch light very easily, picking out the smallest I can find, or with small ends. And as you can see, there's a small window here into which you can feed. That gets hot very quickly. Always have a pair of good gloves nearby. And I've cut these to length so they will fit inside. There we are, we're up and running. And we can throw up some water. Try not to pour your water over your fuel. Very good technique. And the handles on that pot will get hot. At this point, a dustbin lorry decided to go past in the street outside, making the sound completely unhearable. So I decided to finish the movie here, and to thank you all for watching. Stay safe, and God bless you all.